We're going live. And let's see here. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 10K Run podcast. My name is Amos Joseph, joined by my co-host, Brook Potter. How's it going, Brook?
I'm tired, Amos. You see this shit about doing 2 podcasts a day? I'm an old man, goddammit. Why can't you people understand this?
You're the old man. What?
I'm doing all right. I did have to have a coffee, and I am, sneaking in some pizza. Don't tell the carnivores that, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Beautiful day out here in the UK. We actually have some sunshine. It looks like we might actually get a summer. And as I was saying on the other show we did this morning, Religion Zero, if anybody wants to go check that out, there's a playlist on this channel as well as my channel. I'm moving off to Wales. I'm going to be heading out to Wales in a couple weeks, hopefully once the restrictions have eased. And I'm starting a whole new life out there in an entirely different country of the UK.
So skinny chicks just aren't doing it anymore? You got to move on to Wales?
Well, the bigger they are, there's more to love.
Oh, rolls right with that one. Can't even get him.
How are you doing, man? How are you doing?
Doing really good. I guess, I might as well just say this here. So basically got a new, I have a regular job that I work, but I also got a second job.
It's got a second job.
I got a second job. It is a completely remote job. I could do it from my phone.
Oh, part of the digital economy, Isaac. Oh, spicy.
Exactly. It's basically took on a job doing we'll just say the job is going until November. With very slim chances of becoming something more.
Are you implying that you might end up in a position of power?
No. We never know. So so it's basically I'm running I'm basically being a Twitter manager, watching tweets, putting out tweets, and it's a bit of a side thing at the moment. You never know; it could change as the months go by if things change. So that's going on, and I don't know if I kind of told you, but basically, I was telling you guys in the last show, pretty much was up all night. So, well, I was up late. I'm usually up till unfortunately 2 or 3 in the morning. Just kind of cool. That's just how I am. And then I had to make the phone call to go over basically taking on this job. And then because it's Twitter and Twitter's on all the time, I just kind of cozy on through. Something was going on the Twitter sphere that I had to kind of monitor and make sure I was staying ahead of it. So there was that, and then I just decided I'll just stay up. We'll do all the podcasts, and then I'll just go straight to my bed.
Wow! So you're telling me you haven't slept for the day as yet, since yesterday?
Since I woke up yesterday, yes.
Wow, that's crazy. And does your job, by chance, have anything to, involve celebrities or anything like that?
It depends. It depends on who you ask if they're a celebrity. It's like I'm not quite sure how much I want to divulge just yet because of the podcast and such, and because of the nature of depending upon how things go, I could say something later on, or I could maybe never ever say anything. You never know. But it's a good deal. It's a good deal. It's a good thing to have on the resume, especially with you said with the the digital economy. It's a good thing to have. It's possibly a skill that I can reincorporate, let's say, every 4 years.
Well, I wonder what happens every 4 years in the United States.
Well, sometimes there's a leap year.
Yes.
There's Olympics. There's that happens sometimes every 4 years.
Yeah, that's right. I think the World Cup, football, soccer. Yeah. A lot of things happen in
that
fours.
involves the U.S.
Good man.
So, there was that. But before there was that going on, but I want to wrap that up and move into actually just before we go any further with everything we got going on. So, We have, of course, Tactical Soap, Grande Soap Company. Awesome stuff. No artificial nonsense. No endocrine fuck ups. Makes you smell good. Cleans you up real good. All natural stuff. 10% off with the code 10KRUM. That's 10KRUM at tacticalsoap.com. All that goes to supporting us if you want to actually get something more tangible instead of just getting videos. Now, if you want to get videos from us, extra videos that you don't see on the channel, go to subscribestar.com/shitlord-preachers. We use the old name, but it still goes through because Subscribestar doesn't really care that we use the old name. When you go to the page, it will say 10K Run Podcast. With the $1 donation, you're just part of the team. You can be part of our Discord server. With the $5 donation, that's probably going to be the most popular one as we move forward, is where you get access to the raw takes videos. Sometimes we do like anywhere between 1 and 2 to maybe 4 a month. They're shorter than a regular episode, but they're more in depth with topics that we might touch on that, maybe I'll say what I do in there. You don't know. What is this job that I have? Maybe you want to sign up, and then you can see it there. So there's that. And then, of course, there's the $10 a month that includes being basically listed on all of our videos. And then $25, which is actually Edmundo, our $125 supporter. He gets a shout out from us. I should probably put his name in the list too, but we'll get to that too. He basically is subscribed to the highest tier, gets all the tiers, and as we move forward, as things change, you never know. Maybe $25 tiers will get a shirt or a care package of sorts. Which, thinking of that, since we're done with that, we're going to talk about how I'm getting a care package from Robert Frank.
Yeah, is that like a thank you for the podcast? What happened?
No. So if you guys check out on my Twitter at Amos Joe, you'll see there's a little video I kept it unlisted because I didn't want to show up on the channel. Someone could see it. It's gonna look weird. But I caught caught Robert Frank doing just a random stream all by himself, and he did a little giveaway. And I answered, and I guess I lucked out and got the easiest ones, because his questions have gotten harder with each stream he does. He's pulling up. It's usually easy questions, and then the video clip one where he does the audio clip, it gets really obscure.
Or unless it's Kaylee's panty color, which is that's just a shot in the dark, really.
Not going to comment on that. But you get these interesting takes. He's giving these questions. So I called in once, and he picked me. I called in, answered all the questions right, answered the audio clip, which was Dan Bilzerian saying, if you don't like Veg Pro, he'll suck Robert Frank's dick. Interesting stuff.
No, Robert Frank will suck your dick if you don't like it.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, someone's dick's getting sucked, and
somebody's dick's getting sucked.
It's getting a little gay, but so I won that, and then he got my address. So Robert Franks knows, he knows where I live if he wants to, beat the shit out of me.
Beat your ass till you get to the gym.
Yeah, he just shows up and drags. That'd be a video. He shows up, takes me out of my apartment, drags me,
drags you to the gym.
Go to the fucking gym, just sitting in the passenger seat, and you know what I drive? I drive this small car, and just imagine him in there, just screaming at me in the passenger seat. Go to the gym. That'd be a really funny video. We'll have to send that to him, but. Sent that, and then of course that led up to last week. We had Robert Frank on the show, which we had a really awesome talk. He got to, we got to ask some interesting questions that he doesn't usually get asked on shows.
No, we were definitely not politically correct, which is what we wanted, because he does a lot of interviews. He doesn't get these kinds of questions, which I thought is what made the show pretty special.
Yeah. And I'm glad I'll totally be honest. My first question was a complete, just shot in the dark. I'm just sitting here, and I'm I get this bad habit at times when I'm doing the stream. I'm clicking at other things while people are talking. And then I realize you're waiting for me to talk. And I'm like, So Rob, how's that sweet tea? Like, and he's looking at me, how's that sweet tea? And I'm like, oh God. And then I'm like, I just asked the man in the most obscure like way that he's obviously called his pee like sweet tea because he's had some like.
You want to explain that a little bit because not all of our listeners would know.
So
the Glorious House of Gains podcast.
So in the Glorious House of Gains podcast that Robert Frank hosts and created, he talks a lot about not a lot. Every now and then he talks about his health. Like people care about Robert Frank and his health. One of the weird things was he kept saying like because of all the stuff, all the tren, all the creatine, all the whatever else he takes, his piss comes out as sweet tea color, like this dark brown, which usually is either like dehydration, some type of, saltiness, whatever. Something's not quite right with the chemical balance in his body. Now, he just kind of rolls with it. And, he's never said in the show if there was pain or whatever. But I just, my brain just, sweet tea, and then and then he's like, oh yeah, and he kind of had this like awkward like, okay, let me find myself. I just got asked how my piss is looking. Kind of talked about it, and then we kind of smoothed it out from there.
I mean, my first question was, how's the trend, right? Because there was another interview that he did a while ago. It was around the time he was supposed to do the show with us, but it kind of fell apart. And he said he went on the interview and he was surprised. I think maybe it was a bodybuilding something. And he was surprised nobody has ever asked him whether he's actually taking the steroids or not. Now, I mean, I'm a Patreon to the group and stuff like that. And he does talk about, some of the gyno, which is like a side effect of steroids. And he's made a couple of those other types of points. So it's like, well, I want to be the guy to ask him on a podcast, like, how's the trend? Like, are you on the steroids or not? But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Are you hearing that? Are you hearing the noise? I've got a noise coming through on. Okay, then you're not. That's good.
No, we're good.
It's Facebook messages going ga-ding, ga-ding, ga-ding in the background. So I want to make sure it's not coming through.
Yeah. No, we're good. Yeah. It's a bad idea when we're both so active on social media, especially someone like myself.
Hope the notifications are turned off.
Oh, they are. I mean, we'll just say I could scroll, like every moment I'm scrolling, there's just more notifications. This is how big this job of mine is, Excellent. Heavy is the burden. But yeah, no, I think it went really well. And what was awesome was, he was really laid back. He was, not really, we didn't really get him to do any Robert Frank.
I completely slipped my mind because we ran out of time, basically. Which
is fine. I mean, I don't know if like maybe we should like book a cameo to get like an audio clip of him, sponsoring the show. You never know.
He wouldn't do it for the show because that's commercial. But we could maybe get him to do something, and we could just have it as an independent clip on the page, like thanks for having us on the show and stuff like that.
If you don't subscribe to no, I don't
know. We'll message him on we're in touch with him. We'll find out if he could do a spot. I don't mind paying, what is it, like 60 US,
30 $60 or something. Yeah, it's worth it.
We'll chip it in.
Had him on and we talked about a lot of different things, like asking him about, okay, what's it like to know Dan Bilzerian? What's it like at his house? And different things, the parties. And I even asked like a very interesting like question, like because you always see pictures and videos of Dan Bilzerian in his home gym that's outside, and I'm like, how does that all get protected? Does he have guys that are like bringing them all in, putting them all out every day? And he goes, no, they're out there. Like some of them have rust on them, and he goes, yeah, they go bad, he throws them away and gets a new one. I'm thinking, that isn't the epitome of fuck you money.
Yeah.
And then he has his own product line. He has pretty much his own models for his product line. Ignite.
There's no shortage of girls for Ignite.
Yeah. Because they all want to get on there. I think I remember when he was first launching it, and he was like recruiting girls to do that, and it was just a lot of like, you wear all the things, you get on there overnight. That's the big thing too.
Subscribers on his instantly.
Yeah. becoming porn stars or just, probably just, banging it out on OnlyFans or whatever. And so, yeah. And there, he talked about that, people he's seen there or he's known that has been to these parties that everyone's been to, like, Robert Frank, he's friends with Dan Bilzerian, but Dan Bilzerian is like having parties for all these other people that, here, it's like here's Rob, and then here's Dan, and they're like cool friends here. And then, I'm doing a little hand motion here. And then there's like a step above that is like all these other A-list, I think he said
Chris
like
Brown,
Elon Musk showed up, but then he never met him because he was like, they put him in a separate room. But yeah, it was fun to hear all that. And then of course there was a little bit where he was talking about, like, I think we asked about like collaborations.
Yep.
That was pretty cool to hear about, kind of hearing his side of like how he feels about collabing with people. Like, he's done some of it, but he doesn't do a lot of it recently. I think, what was it? Just because, the clash of personalities is just not what he wants to work with.
Yeah, when you have two creative people, sometimes, as we say, there's too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing, and they bump into each other and stuff like that. And he described that as being one of the issues.
And it was good too. Like, it wasn't like, because some of the people that he said he's collabed with or done videos with are very polarizing characters too. Some of them.
Who would you say is a polarizing character?
Jake Paul?
Michael Trapson? Oh, Jake Paul. Some people, I mean,
the Paul brothers are both very polarizing as just internet celebrities. And then what's good, what I liked is, and again, it's similar to how he approaches like politics and just current events, is he doesn't really take much of a side. So, as much as someone as polarizing as Jake Paul and Logan Paul, or maybe some other people, maybe he's encountered or something, and he's probably had a good full exposure of kind of that world of, social media influencers and such.
Yes.
You don't really hear him say much about it. I mean, you probably say something like, if you hung out with him, but you're never going to that's never going to leave a conversation or something. But
of course,
he's really like, for how like sometimes he'll be doing something on like, computers or doing so, he'll kind of like do the whole like the self-deprecating, like, I don't know any of this shit in order. But then when it comes to certain things, he's very professional and really smart. But he's good at like maintaining a brand and sort of this icon that doesn't bleed into areas where he could lose fans and, sacrifice fans for certain ideas.
Exactly.
Which
is the smart thing of being a celebrity, right? Because the minute you take a side on it, you're gonna lose half your audience. And he's not political, as he said in the interview. He doesn't know anything about politics. And it's not really his beef either. But what I really, you really touched on was the idea that he can't have an opinion outside of the shtick that he's doing. And he gets really upset. Like, if he did make a comment about politics, everybody would jump on him and be like, no, I don't want you to talk about that. Just entertain me. Just make me laugh.
And he doesn't even give some divisive take. Like, he's just talking about like reopening his state because he wants to go to the gym. I think that's pretty well within his shtick of like of character and the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a political view from the lens of Robert Frank as a character, which is fine, but people kind of like take offense to that because apparently quarantines are a divisive issue.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to get in, to the Kung Flu discussion. I think he did. Yeah, again, he did one video of talking about the numbers, and he kind of broke it down like it doesn't seem to be as bad as we think it is. And I know he got a lot of heat for that because people want to hear from the doctors, they want to hear from the experts, and
he was quoting those people.
Yeah, that's something I deal with as well. Like, I have some people, like some absolute lunatic leftists that are on my Facebook, and I might post something, from Lad Bible or one of these more social sites, but it's quoting the experts. Like, it's actually giving you the article that you can go and read from the experts. It just happens to be posted on like a less than reputable news source, and they'd always give me shit. Oh, Lad Bible, or a Daily Wire, or whatever they don't particularly like.
Yeah. That's the thing about social media. one thing I just always go back to that I'm reminded of is I remember when I was on Facebook and I posted something, and basically a high school classmate of mine kind of tried to like, call me out or whatever, made a comment like, oh, how can you believe this? And, where's your empirical evidence on this? And where's this and that? And I said, well, it's all over the internet. Well, just because it happens on the internet doesn't mean it's happening in the real world. And I just thought about that and was like, nowadays that is so much less true, because if it happens on the internet, it means something. I mean, you want to look at some of it. Obviously, like, the world doesn't reveal itself to be as toxic as Twitter, but Twitter is people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the context, but those areas are becoming like more and more prevalent in people's lives. You tweet one wrong thing, your real life outside of Twitter can be affected by that, whether it's positive or negative.
Yes.
Sometimes, bad in any publicity is good publicity, but then sometimes people can target that and try to maximize on the negative side of things. You say something that is, that's going to like ignite a storm. So, that's the thing about Rob, is he's mainly stayed pretty much off the radar of a lot of the political like lines. I mean, one of the first videos I saw him do was the Make the Gym Great Again. So he's sitting there, people are thinking, oh, this is going to be an anti-Trump video, and then halfway through, and he's just like pretty much just saying nobody's going to the fucking gym. I want to make the gym great again. Fuck racism, fuck all this shit. We're just going to go to gym because we're all in there to make gains. Yes. And it's like, oh,
not what they expected.
So people are diffused. They've completely missed the entertainment value of the video of like, this totally just fucked with your head, and now you don't know how to think. Yeah. They're sitting there actually being the one that's like lost. Because he played it like that.
Yeah, he does very good. He does play to his audience. He knows where most of them are at. I mean, he does make political statements from time to time, especially I don't think he's a huge fan of the governor of his state. But,
it's because the gym.
Because it's going to take longer for his state to, unlock and get access to the gym.
Yeah, so, I think
he's got to play it close to the cheap, because he's an entertainer.
Yeah, I remember I mentioned, did I say that? I think I said this. Yeah, I said this during the show. How come they didn't do the This Is America clip with Vinny?
Yeah,
and he said that's it. Yeah, pretty much crash and burn like real quick, because again, that whole like, oh, you can't talk about this, just stick with Jim Bro stuff, stop talking about politics. And it wasn't even him. It was Vinny. His, what is it? Municipal worker. Was it the sanitation?
He's a sanitation worker, for those who don't know.
yeah. And, so he's out there, he's seeing all sorts of different things, and he just gives a take, and everyone kind of attributes it to Rob, and Rob can't talk about anything, which sucks too. I mean, it's a bit of it's kind of like a correction to kind of keep him within a certain lane, but at the same time, it's kind of restricting too.
Yeah. I mean, you can't typecast yourself into a role. And he admitted that. He admitted that, what did it? He's bundied himself. What is the character? From all, I can't remember. He used a phrase like he's Al Bundy'd himself or something like that, where he's typecasted. He could only do like muscle meathead or wrestling type characters. And like you and I were kind of discussing that as well. It's very difficult for people who come from a comedy or that narrow a field to transition into anything else. I mean, he's tried the Randy Savage character. He's done a couple clips with that. Most of his audience most of his audience wouldn't even know who Randy Savage is, right? That's a character from back in the 80s. I think his demographics is maybe like you, in your 20s, right? So you probably wouldn't be exposed to a lot of that. But he keeps pushing it. He's doing the meathead minutes now, which is great. That's people seem to really enjoy that. And it gives him an excuse to kind of comment on things while still being the funny man. So I think that was very clever as well. So
yeah. But it's what I like too is Shoot. Train of thought.
I mean, did you know that Vinny had the Kung Flu?
No.
Yeah, Vinny's sanitation got dirty.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, and he was down and out for a season for a while, and then they let him back on the job, and apparently he went out, and either that day or that week, I don't know, I can't remember which one, he started feeling all the symptoms again. You know, he had trouble breathing, so they sent him back home after like the 14-day self-isolate. So,
right.
You know, good vibes to Vinny sanitation. We hope everything turns out.
And then of course the Pody is kind of has to stay away because what is his immune system or something?
Yeah, he's got some underlying health conditions, and they just don't want to risk it. And our friend Ray is back. Have you seen the latest episode?
I did. So it's funny. I saw the latest episode, and then Joey Bag of Donuts was on, and so. I'm not gonna I guess we could kind of talk a little bit about this. Like we're obviously, we like people that come on our show.
Yes.
It's not, we have people on the show. We want to have them on to have good conversations, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt if we have someone that's a little bit more popular than us to kind of get people looking at us and such.
Sure.
Any small channel is totally going to do that, no matter what's going on. Like, they care about people. They're not just gonna hey, come on here, all right, just sit there and look at them and wait for the views to come in. That's not how it works. And so we have Rob on, and he we work things out, and we don't want to I'm pretty much kind of leaving it up to him. You want to come on half an hour, 1 hour, or the full hour and a half, which he did the full hour and a half with us. And I was like, great,
a couple minutes over, which was great.
Yeah. And I was like, awesome. And he kind of actually wanted to, talk a little bit about the StreamYard thing, which he's actually started using. He did it for his giveaway stream last night.
Excellent.
So he tried it out and he liked it, but it was just kind of because of how many people are watching, it just floods that, the chat on the right side that we see, it just floods with everything. And I was like, yeah, that can be a little tough. So he was talking about that, and but I try to the times that he's been on doing his shows and stuff, I'll try to stay within my lane and not get too hey,
I'm over here.
Talk about our show. So I'm okay, I'm gonna do it here. Yeah, I'm gonna do it over there. I called in, I did the giveaway days before the show, and he picked on me. So I'm okay, so that's cool there. He gets to mention the show there, and then he comes on to our. I did tweets and stuff to kind of promote it up. I don't know if he uses Twitter a lot, but it was okay.
Days, apparently.
All right. So okay. So he comes on the show. We do all that. We talked about different things, and then he did his show that following Thursday, and then I saw that and I was like, okay, I got to find my moment here. And then so they were talking about Joey's weight and stuff. I was like, oh, I got it. So I just did a $5 super chat. Hey Joey, from one podcast fat guy to the other podcast fat guy, we gotta stick together, bro. And I put that, and they got a kick out of it. I'm like, yeah. And then Rob kind of uses that to hey, go check them out. I'm like, all right, one more in there,
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so I'm like, what's that?
No, I said that was my attitude as well. I didn't want to flood, the whole thing. So I mean, I'm not awake for the live shows, unfortunately. I really should stay up because I have nothing else going on these days. But what I would do is if you'd mention us in the show, I would go into the comments of the video, and I would put a comment, be, oh, thanks for coming on the show. Oh yeah, thanks for mentioning us. And when I did the clips, for instance, so anybody who doesn't know, we also pull clips from the show. I pulled one of the conversation pieces, as well as I did 2 Instagram stories. And in both of them, I tagged both of his accounts. Even one of them, I tagged Joe Rogan, because he was, on the show, he was saying, he's ready to go on Joe Rogan and anything like that. And then he said, well, Joe Rogan. Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, hey, Joe Rogan, if you're listening to this, I'm ready, bro. And we were like, oh, if he was listening to this.
If Joe Rogan's watching us, Jesus.
Yeah. So I took that clip. It's 48 seconds or whatever. And I tagged Joe Rogan with it for the story. I was like, well, what's the harm? I mean, there's no harm in doing that. So I tagged Rob and I tagged Joe. he didn't see it, but
One
yeah,
second
we
on
do
Joe
what we
Rogan,
can.
we'd get like a few thousand subscribers.
Probably a couple
Not a
thousand or so.
million, Jesus.
Not a million, but a couple thousand, definitely that would be something.
And we're monetized, just but yeah, so we're talking about that, and actually I had this conversation, and because I was telling some people, like you know how like you talk about like the degrees of separation, and I don't know how this came up. Someone was talking about it. I go, what's really crazy is like, I have like 1 degree of separation with Joe Rogan. Someone said that in a conversation I was in, and I just looked at him like, well, where's your connection? They said, oh, I know such and so person. I'm like, oh, well, I've got a connection to Joe Rogan too.
Yeah, 1 degree. And
he was like, wait, who? And I'm like,
Bilzerian.
yeah, and yeah, and I mentioned it to someone else later, and they were like, "Oh, awesome! Like, we gotta like maybe we could like get someone on there." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think Rob's the best guy to like, hey, get us into Joe. Like, he's not even on Joe yet. Like, what am I gonna do?"
I know.
So kind of, but we talked about that, and I was like, "Oh, it's kind of cool. Like, you get a connection, But yeah, it was fun having him on. Good to like
He's welcome
talk about
anytime if he hears
of
this.
Course.
Any of the crew, any of the bros want to come on the show, we'd be.
Well, we've pretty much like kind of peaked. We had Beard So Strong, we got Rob. So now we got to move back down. Okay, when are we gonna get Joey?
Don't
when
say
are we
like that?
We gotta move down.
Yeah, we gotta get Ray Vegas. I would love to
down and out a bit because it's Joey. I'm just.
Joey's a good sport. I was thinking of sending him. I don't know if you've been following this somewhat controversial thing that's going on with a company that Richard Cooper put us onto. The Launch Medical. I don't know if you've been seeing what's happening with that. All right, so that's for the older guys. It's like a shockwave therapy for your dick and like elbow stuff and whatever.
Okay, it was mentioned somewhere where Rich talks to us. We'll just say that it was mentioned. He knows about that. What is it? It's like a.
Okay, so I'll fill you
or
in.
Something.
No, it's. I mean, I've done it. I've done shockwave therapy. So for guys like myself, and as you get older, some people have erectile dysfunction. Some people, you get erections, but it's not as hard. This kind of stuff. And some of it is caused by plaque that builds up in the veins and stuff like that. So you can't get as much blood into the penis kind of thing. So there's something called shockwave therapy where they literally go and they literally shocks. There's actually electricity that goes in these little sparks and it encourages the body to do repairs in that area. So it causes new blood vessels to grow and it kind of gets, helps with that kind of stuff. Now that's a very expensive therapy. So this company, which was called, I think, Launch Medical, they devised a home version that you can use at home, right? So they're taking what would probably be like a $5,000-$6,000 thing for like 12 sessions. They've made a handheld device for at that time.
Zap the dick off.
Well, it uses sound instead of electricity. So it sends the same pulse, but in a different form. Anyway, so I came onto it through Richard Cooper. He did a video on it and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, I'm getting older, I'm always looking to get my dick hard. So why not check it out? So I bought into the pre-order. And the company at that point was, I think, called Launch Medical, and the device was called The Rocket. And there were a host of problems. I ordered it back in, I don't know, November, shortly after the interview. So either November or December. And then the Kung Flu hit. So all the manufacturing in China had stopped. And the device, of course, was manufactured in China. And there were other delays. Once it was manufactured, they couldn't ship it across. And then it was just delay after delay after delay. And then lastly, the patent holder, a competing company called, I think, Gainswave, that actually builds the whole the medical version, they sued the company and said, no, you can't release this. Now, of course, I don't have the details of the lawsuit or whatever, but the company basically folded. An injunction was given and they can't sell it. So another company, the patent holder, he launched a company called Scorched bird, I think, and they rebranded it as the Phoenix. It's the same device. It does the exact same thing. And they started selling it in that way. And anyway, long story short, I was going to recommend that product to Joey and the crew because, they're always looking for things to help men and, very pro-masculine. I mean, they got the love gun, mostly for the ladies, I assume. So I figured, something else to help with your erections and maybe some, joint pain. I think you could use it for tennis elbow and other things like that. Called Scorched Bird, and it's the Phoenix and stuff like that. The only reason I've held off on it is because I want to make sure I get mine before them because there's so many back orders. So once I get the shipping information for my own, I'll be like, yeah, hey, Joey, check this out. Maybe this is something you guys could promote, But yeah, it's a mess because I have to get the refund from the old company and then, I don't need the money. I could order it directly.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. And then they didn't have international shipping. So they matched the price. I got it for the exact same price, but they only shipping to the US. And then it's been quite a shit show. And a lot of the guys are pretty pissed off about the whole thing, but yeah, I'm still waiting, just being patient. I'm sure it'll work out. I don't like to worry unless I know I have something to worry about. So yeah, that's where we're at with that.
Huh.
Are you working?
First day on the job, man.
Yeah, you got a lot to cover. So you're saying in Richard's community there is a conversation taking place about this?
He posted something about it. I don't know how much I'm really supposed to say, but he posted something about it, and I honestly saw the thing, and I was like, what is this? I mean, you hear these jokes, is this, someone posts something about like not having money or something, and someone else will just be like, what is this? Is this some sort of poor people language I'm supposed to not, I can't understand. So it's like, obviously, like, Rich appeals to definitely a wide variety of guys, and they're just definitely guys my age. But it's like I'll see stuff like regarding like male enhancement. I mean, like TRT, I can see is like seems like a very solid thing that like guys can probably even start getting into at just different ages depending upon their situations. But when I kind of see these like, other like devices and such, I kind of just like, is this some sort of a sexual inadequacy that us young guys don't understand or something? You kind of want to, get a little savage, but I just kind of go, oh, okay, different guys got different stuff. They got to try. Cause some of the guys that are older and just the conversations I have, you just see more and more types of things they kind of get into to like, whether it's a way to kind of project your masculinity, kind of make it, or even ways to kind of like protect it, or just some other ways to like kind of just get certain bodily functions running, and the more I look at it, I'm just like, man, I mean, it's all to kind of maintain, as Rich likes to kind of point out, like being a 1% man.
Yes.
But man, there's just a lot of stuff, and I'd like to at least, get to a point myself where it's like, you have that, but it's like, it doesn't become like you're being like kept alive on a machine just to function.
How old are you? 20?
27. No, I know. I've got, what do I have to fucking worry about? But
when you see my age, it's a different story. You do want the machine. I
get it. I see some of this and I kind of think of like, man, it's just because most men are not really doing anything. They just kind of let their body go. Like I mean, they'll do some like, I mean, what are they really going to do? They're going on the walk. They're getting a walk.
They hit the gym.
Well, but even I'm saying without all this other stuff, like some guys won't even hit the gym. Like they'll do a walk, they'll do a run, and they'll kind of maintain, but they're still getting, a whole bunch of other problems. Joints are starting to fall apart and stuff. So then they're not really like, you get people like Rogan that's injecting all his joints full of stem cells and stuff to like repair everything. He's, yeah, Tom Bombadil brings up a good point. The thing about TRT is you can't stop once you start. Yeah, that's because it's once you replace it, the body stops. But you're usually wanting to catch it. From my understanding, is you're catching it on the decline.
Yeah,
So
your body was going to stop anyway. That's kind of the
not so much even just stop as just kind of go down to a trickle where you're
yeah,
not.
Yeah.
So it's so little that you get some cases where men's like test their estrogen levels. Surprise, men actually have a little bit of estrogen in their body to kind of balance things out. Once that starts to kind of like starts to it sits at this low level, your testosterone kind of trickles down to nothing, and once it's below that estrogen, you start having certain feminine features. So
Correct.
you want to like maintain enough. Some guys might maintain enough just to function. Some guys want to maintain enough to like work out and do all sorts of stuff. But then there's a bunch of other problems that could come up with that. Like now your muscles and stuff can work, but your bones and your joints, it's like
stress.
Yeah, so then you got that's like someone Joe Rogan starts pumping his joints full of not steroids, stem cells to kind of regrow all that, and that gets spendy. But you never know. I just watched a video on nanotechnology. Maybe they'll just fix our bodies or something.
I mean, I hope so. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. She came here and we were having a chat and stuff. And I'm all for not going quietly into the night, not letting Father Time kick your ass. So, you can do a light steroid cycle that's light enough that you could actually do it all year. So a lot of these anti-aging clinics are using testosterone injectables mixed with HGH, or human growth hormone, like 1 IU a day or something like that. And apparently it has tremendous effects on, kind of keeping the body. In fact, Dan Bilzerian says that's his cycle. He does Cialis in the morning, gives to give him the nitrous oxide. Of course, he's having a lot of sex as well, so it doesn't hurt to do that. And I think he does like 100 milligrams of test and 1 IU of HGH, and that's kind of his. But it's so low, the dose is so low, it maintains him. You could do that cycle all year. There's not much massive gains to that. So that's the future. And quite rightly, as Tom says, you do it as you're on the decline. So men like me, coming up to 40, my testosterone is actually doing a lot better since I've lost the weight. Yeah, at some point I might have to. Maybe in about 5 years, it starts to decline. Fuck it, man. Yeah, I'll pin myself in the ass with tests. Nothing wrong with that.
Pharmakia.
What's that?
What's pharmakia?
Oh, pharmakia? I think there are two types of test, and I think that might be one of them. So there are two grades of testosterone and stuff like that. I don't know
I mean, from my understanding, there's so many. There's a couple of different types of like testosterones. Like some that are taken together, some that are taken at different intervals, some that you don't have to take as much of. You have to take more of. Different types of injections.
I mean, you could take it orally as well. Proviron was one.
Oh, the biblical word for witchcraft. Okay.
Is that what it is? Okay, no.
No, it's just so they're basically they've extracted hormones, testosterone, types of testosterone, or that our body is
produces anyway.
Yeah, it produces that anyway, and it's a chemical concoction of hormones that your body is starting to slow down in, and it helps you maintain, I guess, essentially like vitality to a degree.
Well, yeah, testosterone is used for muscle density. It's used for brain function. It improves your mood. So some of the dopamine and stuff like that is made out of testosterone. Of course, the sex hormones, erections. So for men, there's a lot to it. I mean, my view on it, Tom, is, it's no different than if I eat a lot of red meat. That will also boost my testosterone. Doing squats also boosts your testosterone. I wouldn't consider any of those witchcraft. So injecting, 100 milligrams into my ass, I don't think
having a chick sit on your lap while you're doing like bench presses is apparently to boost testosterone.
As long as the yoga pants are gray, yes, it's definitely a boost to the testosterone.
Gray?
gray yoga pants. That's kind of because you could kind of almost see everything. That's the joke, because the shadows are cast.
Well, even just the pressure and the contact itself is kind of like causing an arousal effect that raises your testosterone.
Yeah,
just being in a gym full of women is enough to.
Yeah. And I've seen some people hurt themselves in a gym trying to impress ladies that were around them. So it can get.
You're reminding me of all those, Have you seen pec tears? Pectoral tears?
Like pectoral. No, I haven't seen
ripping
that.
Right off that tendon.
I mean, I've seen people that have had that happen to them.
I've seen videos of it happening. Because it's all under the skin.
Yeah, but you see it move. You see
you just do it, and then you're like, oh. Even cases like, apparently you can do it to your like a bicep tear is a thing too.
Yeah. There was a guy that I was watching. Oh God, what was this? He played Arnold Schwarzenegger in one of those like historic movies about the age of bodybuilding. I think it was Callum something. And he was doing double bicep curls with a friend. So the friend is on one side, he's on one side, and they're lifting basically which is like a normal deadlift bar, but they're curling it like together. And he tore his bicep on that, and it was absolutely crazy to watch that. I was like, okay, fuck this shit. I don't need to see that.
Ooh, yeah. MLD John had a pec. I mean, a lot of that from what I've seen is, not to like diminish what a lot of people who are into lifting are doing, but some of those times, from what I've heard, it's a combination of factors, from not taking proper breaks, like, probably just something goes wrong that you have that tear, because you really got to be pushing so hard, and you're probably, did you not stretch? Did something go wrong that it just tore? It's like,
yeah. I mean, you can overdo it. You can overexhaust yourself. Oh, the guy's name is Callum von Morger, I think, is the actor that played Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was nasty. Somebody else had that recently as well. Eddie Hall had one. Mm-hmm. He was the record holder for the world's deadlift, 500 kilograms. It was just broken by Thor Bjornsson, who did 501. But yeah, Eddie kind of fucked up his body a little bit after the 500 kilo lift. And he went for stem cell. Do you know how much a stem cell treatment costs per injection?
It's like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's like $20,000 US for one treatment, one injection of stem cells. That's
yeah. When I heard Joe Rogan talking about his shoulder, like his shoulder cuff or something, like had to inject it full of stem cells to basically build it all back, and it was like 70,000. It was something crazy like that.
Yeah. They sometimes do it over many treatments if it's a lot of damage.
But yeah. Oof.
But that's what it takes. He's what, 54 right now, I think? Or
have you seen him like do his workouts?
Not recently, but I've seen he works hard. He's definitely pushing it.
I mean, when he did that Sober October thing, and he was it was that one year where they all had like smartwatches that tracked your fitness. So like you would he did like an 8-hour Stairmaster workout. Like, I don't know how much validity there is to this, but he said he apparently was sweating so profusely that the steam set off his smoke alarm. I'm thinking, how does that happen?
Yeah. In fact, some of the funniest podcasts on Joe Rogan is when him, Ari Shaffir, Brett, can't remember the other guy's name. Crusher, yeah. The Machine. And what's the last guy? Can't remember. But when the four of them are together discussing Sober October, the pre and the post show, so they discuss it before, then they do the month, and then they do like an analysis. Those are the funniest fucking podcasts I have ever listened to in my life. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh boy, let's see here. All right. Just finish.
Dude, put down the phone, man. You're in the show. Come on.
I know I'm in the show. I got a job.
Yeah.
But anyways, so when are we having Rogan on, you think?
I'll send a message out to his people, and we'll have our people contact his people, and we'll do lunch, because that's what they do in California. They do lunch.
Wait,
we'll see.
His people.
I had a dream that we were on Rogan.
I mean, who doesn't have a dream that they're on Rogan?
I mean, yeah, that happens like all the time, man. It's like going to school without your pants on. That's another dream that everyone has.
Yeah. Now, if anyone is interested, I do actually have interesting so in our raw takes, I actually do a couple times. I'll talk about dreams and such. It's interesting videos on that one. We'll do a little dive into that. But actually, real quick, before we move on, we're just going to do a little mid-show housekeeping promo. I mean, we always got to do this. We gotta keep the overlords well, not overlords, people that pay us wherever they are. Coupon code 10K rum for tactical soap if you want to support the show by getting some soap that's good for you. Good for your body, does not fuck up your endocrine system, smells good, cleans good. And of course, if you want to support us directly through subscribestar/shitlord-preachers, that you can do anything from a $1 all the way up to a $25 a month donation. And of course, a thank you to Edmundo for our $25 a month subscriber there. That gets you to all sorts of benefits that, of course, through time are going to be subject to change due to, obviously, as we're able to offer more, we want to fill up those tiers more. You never know, maybe the $1 tier might get you something special beyond just being on our Discord that isn't really there yet. So we do have a handful of subscribers that we're going to get on the Discord. I mean, but Discord is still one of those things that not a lot of people use. So anyways, thank you everyone for those. And of course, thank you to our sponsor. And back into it.
So are we gonna discuss a little bit about the political situation in the UK, in the US, which is turning out to be quite a shit show?
Nothing's going on here. What are you talking about? I mean, you got
so much,
dude. I mean, if you're voting for anyone but Biden, you ain't black.
I mean, even before we get to that absolute shit show, do you know anything about how the DNC actually said they're not certain they're going to endorse Biden? Did you hear that? No, I did not hear that. Okay. I don't know the exact details. All I know, there was an interview clip with one of the directors for the DNC on probably one of the mainstream media kind of shit show, and they were talking about Joe Biden. Of course, he is the front runner. I basically think it's a shoo-in at this point, and normally the winner of the most delegates is just kind of automatically assigned. The convention is basically your coming out party, and the candidate comes forward. But this director apparently said on the interview that we are not sure we're actually endorsing Joe Biden yet. We have to have the convention because there's convention business to be had. Basically saying that even though Joe Biden has all the delegates, he's not guaranteed the spot, and they might switch him out for somebody else.
See, this is what's interesting is the Libertarian Party managed to have a freaking convention, and they nominated someone.
Really? Who's the Libertarian candidate this year?
I mean, it was funny. A couple people that I know that are part of Think Liberty and Being Libertarian, they were keeping me updated on this, and we were I think there's some people that were involved in the Vermin Supreme campaign, which is interesting. I personally didn't really go for it. I mean, he had some really good promotional material, like videos and such. I think he's kind of he's running off essentially that political street cred from all those years of being a satire figure. Yes. But then the Libertarian Party kind of went open arms, brought him in. He brought a lot of people into the party.
Nice.
And this is speaking from someone who is absolutely not a member of the party. No, I'm not. I mean, it's so he, was bringing people in, and his whole community is like, it's this whole satire parody, kind of making fun of politics. Everyone gets a free pony thing, but apparently it did so well. What they did was each round they did rounds of voting. So the delegates from all over the country, it was like 1,000 delegates. They would submit their votes, excuse me, and each state would report the votes. Each round of voting, they took like the top 5, and then the bottom one, each round would get removed until one would reach a 50% vote. So they went into round 4, which was Vermin Supreme, Joe Jorgensen, and this guy Jacob Hornberger. Some people that I know who shall remain nameless called him Hamburglar. I watched the debates to kind of keep up with it. They had John Stossel moderate their last debate between the 5 top candidates.
Interesting.
So it was Hornberger, Jorgensen, Vermin Supreme, and then there was this guy Judge Jim Gray. So an actual a sitting judge wanted to run for president.
Cool.
And John Mons, which was this fortunately the way he went about his whole campaign was like I was just kind of watching through it because I mean it's the closest to my beliefs, but it's kind of party politics. So, a lot of the candidates are complaining about, not getting picked on because John Stossel kind of did this very roundabout way of doing questions.
Right.
He'll instead of asking everyone the same question, he would just go through a list and ask everyone different questions. So everyone would just be subjected to random ones. Like,
right.
Like one person got got a couple of like, one was global warming, one was taxes. The other person got foreign policy and foreign wars or something. Just random groups, and then they all kind of like were complaining about that on a live stream. So then they did their convention, and then of course it got done on those 3, and then Joe Jorgensen won by like I think 51% vote, which It's funny. She's the first woman to be nominated as the presidential candidate from the Libertarian Party, and then she's the only woman that's really that's running in the top 3 parties, which are typically that's how it kind of is nowadays. I mean, if you compare it to 2016, the Libertarian Party is still where it is, but it's definitely like it's big enough that it matters, but not so big that it really matters.
Oh, I get that. I know that. Who was it last time? It was Bill Weld and Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
And I think he sued the Electoral Commission to be included in the debates. And I think he won. Now, I don't know if they're going to honor it this year, but I think if they actually showed the American people that there was actually a third candidate, that might be a very interesting split. I still think that Trump is
right.
A Trump train. But we'll see. I mean, there's been a great picture of a bus that's been going around that looks like a train. Like they painted it with the wheels and stuff to look like a train, and it's called the Trump train. And in the back of it is Ivanka Trump 2024. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. Ivanka is his daughter, of course. But that. We had a couple candidates run for the MP spot out here. Our system is a little different though. So that's good news. That's good news.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like checking with that, making sure, just seeing what all is going with all that. It's because I was really worried, like how someone with like Vermin Supreme was like possibly going to win. I was kind of like, no, we're going to be a joke again. Like, well, actually not again, but more so we're going to be more of a joke.
Still running. Yeah.
Just more of a joke. Because like Gary Johnson, like say what you want. Like people were like, I told people like he was like, when I talk about like how the Libertarian can get to people is you want to be marketable.
Correct.
And then, when you think words like that, they're like, oh, yeah, politics. And because there's this whole like high and mighty ideal with libertarians, like, we're not part of the duopoly. And it's like, yeah, I get that. But you got to still play. You got to play the game a little bit. You got to be appealing to people. And Gary Johnson was, he had that going for him, but then he wasn't strong on things. I liked
correct.
This guy Dave Smith was on Joe Rogan, and he talked about, he goes, imagine if someone like Gary Johnson with his temperament around the time of the abolitionists and just said, well, I just think that, the cotton gin is an obviously more efficient machine to deal with picking cotton. Like, you're not convincing these people to abolish slavery. It's like, you need to go out there and be kind of like telling people, like, this is immoral. This is wrong. We're literally turning people into property. That's like that difference. Whereas, so now what is he doing now? I just think, the IRS needs to be abolished so we can bring in a 27% federal consumption tax. Like, it's a really radical idea.
Yeah.
But he made it sound so bland. Like, you want to abolish the IRS. And then there were a couple clips someone actually caught of him freaking out.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that, but I'm not entirely surprised.
Yeah, someone really challenged him on questions, and he snapped a little, and I was like, okay, that's, And then, of course, everyone, anytime you bring up Gary Johnson, everyone's just Aleppo,
yeah. That was a gotcha question. What was it, CNN or whatever it was? I didn't think that was a fair take, because most people didn't know where Aleppo was anyway.
Wait a couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah, well, he smoked a little too much weed for me, to be.
He claims he was sober during the entire campaign.
I know, but we knew he was a weedhead, which might explain why he was so chill, which I didn't mind. That's fine. I was more him than Trump. But I could see the American people kind of looking at that as like, no, this is a fucking hippie.
He had a couple of funny moments. I think he was at CPAC. I think he was like some guest or something. He's sitting there in a chair on a stage, and they said, someone's reading like, well, we don't agree with like marijuana legalization because of the health problems it can pose, like this, and this, and this, and heart problems. And then Gary Johnson's sitting there, and he just goes, ugh, and just falls down. Why did they say that? Yeah. And everyone's laughing. So you get moments like that. He gets to be a little bit of news, and then CNN and Fox kind of do some little like libertarian town hall, and it's like a group of randos that they brought from the street. Like, oh, do you want to like talk to a presidential candidate that kind of matters? You got 15% of the vote.
I was going to say he didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing, and with no real national exposure or coverage, that's actually pretty impressive.
Right.
But
so it's kind of like this weird place. You want, like, what do you do? Do you got to do something so outrageous that, you get back out there, we get on the map somehow? Do we have to, I don't like it when libertarians that I've talked to will think it's a bad idea that some libertarians should become, like, more moderate libertarians should become Republicans to win those seats, then switch back or something.
I don't see an issue with that, because if you got to play the game, you got to play the game.
Yeah, and people started hating on like Austin Peterson in Missouri. Yeah. People don't like it when libertarians are really getting all excited about Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, or Justin Amash. Justin Amash actually just straight out and just, all right, I'm going to go to do some paperwork, switch over to an L, the first L in Congress.
Yeah.
And then he tried running for president, and people were shitting on him for that. He didn't actually go through with it, and people were still shitting on him for that.
Yeah, the libertarian purity test is almost as bad as the SJW purity test. And I think that is...
And we're anti-SJW. Woo!
Yeah, we're anti-SJW, but you got your own kind of cult following.
Except when we do it.
Yeah, exactly. Rules for thee, but none for me, right? I loved I see Tom mentioning John McAfee is going on Rogan. Oh no, going with MLD actually. I loved McAfee. McAfee was so off the wall, and his 2016 campaign of John M16, I thought was great. I was like, that's as libertarian as it gets. And then he did this promo video with him like snorting coke off with like two hookers, and I was like, this is never going to work, but I loved it. It was so
We're never going to have an election unless somehow there was an extenuating circumstance where we had an election in 2047 and you had someone named like, what would be a K last name? Like, it's like Krieger. So you had someone named Adam Krieger.
Yeah.
Adam Krieger 47, AK-47.
Yeah. I think that's something like that would be pretty cool. I like John. John, I mean, he was never going to be a politician, but he's a fun character.
He's kind of like he's got the vibe of what is it? Who's that old guy with the tattoos that dances in the videos with the hot chicks?
Oh, Galalucci or something like that. I know the guy. You mean. He's a DJ.
McAfee kind of gives off that vibe, just like the old guy that just does whatever the fuck he wants, just living life. A little bit more on the crazier, like anarchist side.
Yeah.
Kind of pushing that, like, like one moment he's snorting up all the coke in the world, the next moment he's shooting, an RPG into the woods, fighting alongside freedom fighters in some random area.
I mean, he's an old Dan Bilzerian. That's basically what it comes down to. He's Dan Bilzerian with, MILFs, like old women instead of like hot Instagram chicks.
I remember, did you ever hear about when they asked him about the affirmative action during the 2016 debates?
No,
2016 debates, he was there and they talked about like affirmative action and just obviously pointing out like the inherent flaws of some of these laws that create quotas, kind of do racism and kind of reverse racism, so to speak. And they tried to like obviously get these candidates to explain their position. Do they agree or disagree? And he just like leans down on the podium and he goes, "My wife is black." So like, okay, just the kind of like, are you owning it? Are you dismissing this? Are you trying to like preface like, I got a black wife, so I'm going to say, so I can say that what I'm about to say? I don't know what you're doing.
That's crazy, man. I mean, but yeah, let's bring it up to the present. So who's the Libertarian candidate?
Jo Jorgensen.
Jorgensen.
She's a psychologist. I kind of made the joke. She's also a grandma. So I made the joke that she's this like maybe she's like a female Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
Grandma, a grandparent who's a psychologist. Anyways, so not sure what to expect from her. She just kind of like, she has a lot of good ideas, but I think it's kind of like the problem with that was with Gary Johnson is there you want some she needs to kind of like learn to kind of
do the politics
the politics, but also kind of work on the oratorical kind of side of things, like really market herself as like someone who can speak on things and talk about things and be able to be both pragmatic but also passionate about things, not just kind of like, well, this makes sense. It's like, oh, of course it makes sense. Make me believe and want it to make sense. Because
that makes
sense. A lot of things made a lot of sense in 2016. Gary Johnson's going around telling people, hey, most people probably identify with being libertarian, even in the smallest degree, so they'll probably vote for me over anyone else. But somehow that just didn't get out there.
Correct. Larry Sharp was New York. I mean, I don't know if you saw his campaign.
Our friends over at Hop of Supremacy interviewed him, and it was a fun interview. He talks about a lot of issues, got a little more pep in his step. He talks, he's got a little more energy. He's cool, but I don't know. Actually, that one I don't know why I didn't quite get it, because
it's New York.
right, and I get that. There was also a little bit of a this is kind of a problem I see, which kind of sucks, is a lot of libertarians that somehow run for office aren't really good at breaking down ideas, like making it easy to understand for the common man. Same thing happened with Dan Crenshaw when he was on Rogan recently. He was trying to explain like all he had to really do is break it down to like they were talking about national like universal healthcare. Break it down to just basic understanding of incentives, capitalism, markets, how money works, what changes how people behave. break that all down, walk it through for Rogan. You're obviously in a long form show. You have the time to do that.
Yeah.
To kind of show him like, and then maybe Joe doesn't agree, but I'm like, okay, you don't agree, that's fine. But this is typically like, as virtuous and as good as people want to be, people still serve their own interests. So you got to want to harness that to get people to compete and produce a better way for everyone, for more people at least, so that, you know, you can help more people. But then it's, instead of kind of forcing around with government to say you got to do it all this way.
Yeah.
Larry Sharp tried to talk about cutting down the education system.
Yeah, scaling it back.
Right, because there's like, you know, 20 vice principals at a school or something, and they're all administrators doing God knows what.
Yeah.
Cut it down, and Joe was just kind of like, well, it's just more funding. And he goes, no, it's not more funding. It's doing better with what you have.
Correct.
So he didn't really make the connection to go and explain, okay, here's what's going on. These, like this, the education system keep pumping out money. The school is not going to, like, you know,
not doing any better at the end.
Well, they're not going to like give up free money. They're going to try to write off everything they can to explain why they need more funding, to then hire more administrators to sit around and not do as much.
Yeah, exactly.
To then arbitrarily create thresholds and rules where you're getting more kids. So you have 20 vice principals because you have 20 kids at any given moment getting punished for stupid shit. I don't know. Yeah. You know, your SJW world where anything is offensive. So it's just, it all adds up, but it's like, I'm just sitting there, I'm listening, and it's like, these are the people that's supposed to represent our party, you know, our party and the ideals. And they can't even explain basic, you know, hey, did you know people have incentives to do things and not do things, to do this, to do that? If you give them money, they're not going to deny it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see the Crank Show interview, so I'll have to check that one out. But I mean, we're kind of getting low on time. I want to touch on the Joe Biden's comment, you know.
Yeah, sorry, I know we're kind of.
Yeah, I know we're delving into the Libertarian Party. I mean, there's so much going on with Joe Biden because he's in trouble now with his Ukraine comments as well. So now that the impeachment is, well, yeah, the impeachment with Trump obviously fell apart, but they actually do have impeachment. Well, not impeachment, but like legal issues going on with Joe Biden, because he did say to the Ukrainian president, we're not going to give you the money unless you change this prosecutor. And they did it. So I think Congress is like stepping up some investigations into Joe Biden. So the same thing they accused Trump of, they actually have
right
for Biden. So that's a lot that's going on. Not to mention, y'all had two very major by-elections in California and I don't know where the other one was. The very strong Democratic positions that flipped to Republican. You know, like for the first time in something like 40 years or something like that. So it's good indications of somewhat of a blue wave, but yeah, what do you think of Joe Biden, man? Are you black? Are you black enough? What's going on there, man?
Dude, if I vote for him, I'm gonna get like a shade darker or something. Am I gonna go full
save on the tanning?
I mean, how black will I get? Am I gonna get like light skin African American black? Am I gonna get like African black, or am I gonna get that? You know, have you heard of purple black?
No, what's purple black?
It's like so black you almost look purple.
Black like the Ace of Spades and beyond.
Well, I mean, and this is not obviously not meant to be some racist, but I've just heard like people, like I've talked to people and they'll actually like distinguish like the different levels of black, and it's like, and here's Biden just outright saying something stupid. You know, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And I'm thinking, geez, am I gonna turn black by voting for you? You know, I mean, because Biden has a history of like running different offices, right? He wasn't just VP and that was it. He was in the Senate before that. He was in the Senate. Do you know where he was from?
No, I'm not sure where, but I remind me to come back on that because Amazon.com just bitch slapped him over his tweet. But yeah, I'm not sure what state he's from.
Because I want this whole time.
Massachusetts.
Let's see. Jesus. Yeah, they put in, they really
yeah, when you enter his name, search engine, you know.
Well, yeah, and it's just showing you like a million different like history.
Pennsylvania.
That's where he
was born. I'm assuming that's where he's representing.
What did he do?
Could be Delaware, actually.
During his first years in the Senate. Oh, Delaware. Yeah.
Yeah, Delaware. Yeah, there we go.
Delaware. Okay. So where was Michael Jackson at the time?
when he was voted in. Are we trying to suggest something here?
I mean, there's a meme going around that the moment Michael Jackson voted for Biden, he turned white. I mean, you can't argue facts like that.
Oh, you mean he didn't vote for Joe Biden and he turned white. Is that what you meant?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because
that's right. He wasn't in Delaware. That's why. Jesus, I got it backwards here.
Yeah. Maybe Meghan Markle. Maybe she kind of she's pretty fair.
Was she from Delaware?
I don't know. That's crazy though. But he got into a lot of heat for that comment. Now, yeah, he's been. It's been so bad for the Biden campaign. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you kind of. And here's what I don't get. They're still defending him. It's still like what is it? What's the hashtag riding with Biden?
Riding with Biden.
People are like, I heard someone saying like, I will literally let Biden rape me if it means he gets elected. I'm like,
that's insane.
Wow. I mean, that's the fringe.
Speaking of which, he does have a rape allegation against him. Right. So the irony of this whole thing, right? So you're looking at, he's got pretty tangible evidence that he has a sexual assault evidence against him. I can't remember the lady's name, but it was raised in a Bill Maher episode many years ago. Oh, was it Bill Maher or one of those late night talk show hosts?
Stewart?
It was not. I don't think. No, it wasn't Stewart. It was back in the 80s. So it might have been like a Larry King, or I think it is Larry King actually. He actually has a credible sexual assault against him. He's making all of these other gaffes and whatever else is going on. He does actually have Ukrainian, quid pro quo recorded, international diplomacy fuck ups, which they tried to impeach Trump on. He actually has all of this on him. Like, they went after Kavanaugh for less evidence. They went after Trump for the impeachment with stuff. Biden has both of those, and the Democrats are just like, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's fine. And that I think most people are seeing the absolute stupidity of what's going on with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, so you wonder, like, why do I still feel he's probably still going to make like some huge impression upon the voters?
I don't think
like
so.
It's still going to be close somehow. Like, in terms of popular vote. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so at all.
I don't think so. To just like, we got to vote for him no matter what happens.
I think, but I don't think even the majority of Democrats, I don't think are going to do that. You'll get the fringe. Absolutely, California, New York, so and so.
Oh, excuse me. Brian mentioned it's Tara Reid.
Oh, thanks, Brian. I knew Brian would be on top of that. that's the lady who has the allegation against him. But a lot of what I am seeing a lot of, and if you check YouTube, you're seeing this, a lot of people are leaving the left saying that they're going to, vote for Trump because the left has just gone screeching mad with all this SJW nonsense. And it's made worse, in some ways the pandemic has actually brought this to light because all of the hypocrisy is coming out, right? You wasted all this time going after Trump and the impeachment. And now you want to play like, oh, well, we did everything we can. We have to blame Trump for not doing enough, but you all did fuck all. Like, I think the American people are kind of looking at this like, no, these people, I hope I could be completely wrong. But given the results in the recent by-elections, especially that one in California, whatever the 45th district or 43rd or whatever it was, and by a large margin, it wasn't even close. It was like by a 12% or whatever, trounced the Democratic, candidates and whatever. Now, mind you, that could flip in the general election and whatever. So it's only a couple months. But if that's any kind of symbolism and Biden is the candidate, I think it's a wash.
I mean, then you got the long shot from nowhere. That's like, what if all the Democrats that don't vote for him vote for a Libertarian, and then all the just the essentially some people feel like Trump supporters have felt like Trump has definitely done some not so Republican things.
I'd agree.
And they'll probably be like, so we just got to bring those two groups together, get a Libertarian president.
I mean, it'd be great. It would be great, but
It'd be so interesting. Like, I mean,
wouldn't change much.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would set a precedent. Like, it would definitely change the perception, because
Political landscape. Yeah.
the political, like, it would all be based on the perception of how this candidate does things. Maybe in terms of actual change, which is with any president, clear change that actually sticks takes multiple presidents.
And it takes Congress and the Senate, which is also a sticking point.
Right. So it's like, you got someone that's essentially writing this different political party to kind of like, hey, I'm not going to pass you wanting to go to war. I'm not going to pass you wanting to go to war. I don't want to pass you to pay, throw more money into the debt. Like, we need to like cut this down to actually start paying back the debt. I think I actually watched a video like explaining what would happen if the debt was paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Probably nothing.
It wouldn't make a massive change. Yeah, I don't suspect. Well, I mean, it would. It would free up money that y'all are paying in interest, so you could probably do more, domestically, or even if you want to give it away, that's fine. It'll free up the interest that y'all are paying out, which is pretty substantial. That's a pretty big chunk of your discretionary spending.
Give us more stimulus checks.
Cut taxes. You could let people keep more of their money.
Yeah, that's the thing that's going on now. Is there's all this talk of what kind of stimulus checks they want to give us. I don't know if you even.
I haven't. We were talking about it in the previous show before we had Robert Frank on. Has that passed? I don't know where that is.
No, I mean, so there's anywhere between the new, like, so a second round of $1,200 payments. Mm-hmm. To what's called the Emergency Money for the People's Act, which is $2,000 a month, 6 months to a year,
right? To
anyone above the age of 16, dependent or not.
Okay, interesting.
Or there was like some obscure ones, like there was the like the Heroes. There was like a Heroes one where they give bonus pay to frontline workers.
Okay.
There was another one where they wanted to do $4,000 in like reimbursed tax credits for like work-related education. So if you want to go into a trade, you get $4,000 up front, which some people didn't like because it's like, well, we just want money.
Like, right.
Money that we can do what we want. Yeah, money that, because not everyone who's suffering is just going to go into a trade.
Correct.
Some people just need something to pay the bills till they get back into their job, or what is it? So what is we have like 40 million people unemployed right now in the US?
Yeah, it's something like that.
40% of those won't get their jobs back or something.
Yeah, we suspect it's something along those lines.
And then the ones who do go back are going to experience a permanent 20% decrease in their wages.
That's possible as well. That's what they're looking at.
And I'm like, shit. Like, and this is what I started to think about. People are freaking out about inflation because all this money is going out there.
Yeah.
No one's going to be, but the money is not going to go. It's like directly into where things are moving a lot. It's not going to like. People aren't just going to start blowing up, pizza places, restaurants, just going out and partying all day. They're actually probably like freaked out, so they're actually going to stay more indoors.
Yeah,
there's going to be an extended time period now where people are just naturally going to be indoors.
Yeah. They're not going back to normal life and hitting the pubs or the bars and going out to
even after things are completely lifted and no recommendations for like social distancing or any of that needs to be in place.
Who's going to jump on a cruise ship? Right? Who's going to jump on a plane?
Dude, that's just going to get cheap.
It's already cheap.
You think it'll get cheaper? You think it'll get cheaper?
Yeah, it's possible. I think we might see some consolidation. Some of the airlines and the cruise lines might buy each other up because they might be in trouble and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think we're going to see rock bottom prices for a lot of these flights. I mean, people are still flying now. It's just
$10 to Vegas, baby.
Yeah. I think even Vinny was talking about that not Vinny. Joey was saying he wanted to go out to Puerto Rico from their state in New Jersey. Yeah. So, and he
like
said if it was possible, he'd do it. He'd just fly out.
Yeah. If you're willing to take the risk, wear a proper mask to travel there, you're there. You don't have to worry too much.
Nothing about that.
Yeah, it's because the money's not going to be moving a lot. That's where like the factors are going to play in. Where what is it? They're calling stagflation or deflation of sorts.
Yeah, it's going to be deflation
because money is only going to be going towards like bills and mortgages and rent It's not going to go so much to where it needs to be: movies, food, entertainment.
Yeah, discretionary spending is what we call it. So
yeah,
the entertainment and stuff.
Basically, we won't see any sort of real inflation really play out for maybe a couple
for
years.
A while. Yeah, I don't know if it's hopefully
if it even comes.
No, it's coming. There's especially if they pass another stimulus. I think it's definitely coming. But yeah, you have time to kind of weigh it out, because the repercussions in the economy are going to take a while to ripple through and stuff like that. But we'll see. Yeah, Biden. The concern that I have is Biden gets to the convention. He hasn't picked a VP as yet, and basically whoever's the VP is basically a shoo-in for the presidency, in my opinion.
Right.
So it is possible that the DNC might resurrect the corpse of like Hillary Clinton or I don't know, some other Democrat to run as the VP. Basically, they would be like the puppet master behind the puppet sort of thing.
Right.
I don't suspect Biden would win. I still think Trump is a shoo-in unless there's a real fuck up somewhere, and I don't see that. People are giving him a pretty good pass regarding the pandemic and stuff like that. But yeah, that I think is possibly the end game strategy for the Democratic Party, what they might be leading towards. But we'll see. We'll see. Elizabeth Warren, maybe? That would also be scary.
Yeah, I don't know how I really poke a hunt. I mean, you get a woman.
Pocahontas.
You get a woman.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It does check the boxes. And there was this other governor, a black lady, and she kind of said like, I'm willing to take on the VP role. Like, go ahead. And she kind of tried to get him to kind of endorse her, like on the air and CNN and stuff like that. It was pretty crazy, pretty bold.
Why they're not getting Tulsi up there is still beyond me. I mean,
yeah, she's not a corporate Democrat. I think that's a big part of it.
If you were me, would you have voted for Tulsi if she somehow became president? Like, could run for president?
If she was on the ballot, I'd stick with Trump. Because I think as much as I agree with her policies, the president doesn't have as much power as the Congress and the Senate.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I remember, what was it? Rogan did a video like questioning how like pretty much no one has the ability or the skill to be the president. Like no one. Like you sit there, you hear about all the stuff they're doing all day, and they get no sleep. It's just, they wake up, war, go to sleep, war. And it's and it's just like, what are you going to do?
There's that threat.
And then of course you see usually the presidents with the dark hair go completely gray by the end of the first term.
By the end of the term, they go gray. Yeah.
They gray, their face ages a bit.
Yeah. I mean, thank God Trump is orange and, he dyes his hair. So
spray tan's enough.
Yeah, he may not actually be that bad off. So we'll see.
But anything else you want to add, man?
No, I think we're good. I mean, there is a lot going on in the political world, but we don't really have the time to get into it. So we've had a long day. We could wrap it up.
Another long day.
Another long day, and I have a cold pizza to eat. So
like frozen or like cold?
No, it's just cold. I got it before the show. So now it's nice room temperature. I'll just polish it off.
All right.
Today's my cheat day on the carnivore diet. So yeah,
awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us. Of course, do subscribe to the channel. Leave a like below. Leave a comment. Subscribe to us, and of course on our iTunes platforms, iTunes podcast platforms, Google Play, stuff like that. All our links are below with social media and everything. And of course, we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for watching, everyone.